We're gearing up for week 4, Lions at Bears this weekend. What better way to kick things off with 3 and Out presented by Comerica? We're going to bring in Kaitlin Sharkey, FOX32 Chicago sports reporter and anchor, to give us the 3 biggest headlines going into this big NFC North matchup. Kaitlin, we're going to touch on the quarterback woes. Who gets that starting nod come Sunday? We're also going to talk that offensive game plan that was in a rut against the Browns last Sunday. And then can this Chicago Bears defense finish a game out coming up here? So let's start with those quarterback woes. Kaitlin, you've been at practice all week. Head coach Matt Nagy has not said who will be the starting quarterback. It'll be Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, Nick Foles. So what have you seen from practice in terms of who you think might get that starting nod?
It is all about health right now, and watching all 3 quarterbacks, but specifically Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, you kind of see them going along the same pace. So it's really a toss-up at this point. They're keeping it very close to the chest, what they're allowing us to see, obviously. But I think that regardless, this offense has really hit the reset button after everything that transpired in Cleveland. So both quarterbacks ready for the opportunity. Matt Nagy did make a point to say the depth chart has not changed here at quarterback. So yes, Justin Fields came in or started in Cleveland. Things did not go as well, but Andy Dalton was not healthy. So if Andy Dalton is healthy this week, Andy Dalton could be getting that start. But also if he's not, Justin Fields gets another chance to hopefully wipe away the slate of what happened on Sunday against the Browns in Cleveland.
Right, quarterback Justin Fields, 68 yards passing. In actuality, it was 1 net yard passing after you factor in the yards lost because of the 9 sacks that Bears offense allowed. But, I mean, Nick Foles' name has come out a few times. Is there a chance that we see him Sunday?
I think it's less likely that we see Nick Foles. I think that would have been a situation if, the x-rays that came back on Justin Fields, throwing hand, thumb, would have been positive. They were negative, so that's a good sign. Andy Dalton's progressing in the right direction. So I think that was only kind of, if those 2 can't go, then we go to Nick Foles, but I don't think it's very likely right now. I think it's going to be a matter of who can really progress the next couple days. We only have 2 days of practice left remaining, so it's very close. It's good to see that they're both at least getting healthier. I think Andy's injury obviously was more serious than Justin, but both looking good.
All right, let's talk about the offensive game plan. Last Sunday against the Browns, the Bears had their worst offensive output in 40 years. They had 47 yards of offense. I mean, the last time they played that bad on offense, it came against who else? Detroit Lions in 1981. So what can we expect from the offensive game plan moving forward?
Yeah, the talk all this week at practice was about holding accountability, remaining positive, but also realizing that was a disaster. Offensive coordinator Bill Lazor said, we've had some historically bad performances. They've never really been to that extent as of late, but I think all of the position groups, all the rooms here on this offensive side of the ball really took a good hard look at themselves. The offensive line specifically, as you mentioned, 9 sacks of Justin Fields. There's no way you're going to get an offensive game plan going if it doesn't start at the offensive line. And they struggled mightily. But a lot of that was just the game plan that's set in place. Matt Nagy took ownership for not having the right game plan. Bill Lazor also talked about taking ownership. But running back David Montgomery said it wasn't about the coaches. It wasn't about the game plan. We as players have to go out and execute. So I think there were a lot of tough conversations. I think there are a lot of that film session, Sam Mustipher, the center, described it as going to the dentist. That's how painful it was to watch that performance. So I think they're absolutely motivated to make sure that does not happen again on Sunday, especially at Soldier Field.
Let's switch gears to the defense. They didn't play horrible against the Browns. They sacked Baker Mayfield 5 times, so this defense certainly a bright spot. Can they close out games, though?
Yeah, that has been the conversation topic this week at practice, because it is tough, right? When you're having these good defensive performances, especially in week 2 against the Bengals, they had 4 straight takeaways, a bunch of sacks, a bunch of interceptions. They build off of that and they go into Cleveland and they do what they do. Sean Desai, the defensive coordinator, was asked, was it fatigue that allowed those late game scores, especially when your offense isn't doing anything and you're back out on the field as quickly as the defense? He said that shouldn't matter. We're ready to play 60 minutes. It shouldn't be about fatigue. It should be schematically. We got to make sure we're in the right places. This defense knows the standard they've set. They know that they're the ones that have been the higher one of the two when you look at the defense and offense of this team. So I think they're just building off of that, but also it comes down to, not allowing those late scores, because when your offense can only put up so many points, you cannot afford to let a comeback happen in the fourth quarter.
Kaitlin, I know you've been in and around practice this week, so just what is the mood around the Chicago Bears team right now?
It's very different from when I saw them Sunday walking off the field, where it wasn't the sky was falling, but they were definitely shell-shocked by that lack of performance, lack of production. Now it's a bit more, listen, the NFL moves quickly. You have to have a short-term memory. We hear players say that all the time, how you have to turn your attention to a new team. And that's the reality of the situation. Yes, they know how bad it went in Cleveland, but they also know they have a divisional opponent coming to Soldier Field, an opponent that they're very familiar with. They know the caliber that Jared Goff plays at. So they're talking about all of those things like, listen, that was bad. We know it was bad, but we also have a lot of football left this season.
Man, I know Lions, they are chomping at the bit to get their first win. Why not against the Bears? Let's see if they can get it done. All right, Kaitlin, thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to come to your city this weekend and see those Lions at the Bears.
Yes, hopefully it's a beautiful day.